It is Friday, everybody, and that means some more crazy crypto news needs to be covered. Yes, like every other day, it's not as if Friday is something special, but nonetheless, times are pretty crazy, you know? In all seriousness, we've got ourselves a pretty juicy amount of crypto news, so if you guys are enjoying these daily crypto videos, make sure that you help out by pressing that like button. So what do we got cooking? What do we got going on? We'll take a look at this. Hopefully you guys have been keeping yourselves up to date with the whole banking crisis. Those regional banks are not doing too well. Jim Cramer a little while ago said, hey, FRC is the new focus. Very good bank. What? And then all of a sudden, boom, it fell down to the oblivion. And apparently the SEC now launched an investigation into the First Republic Bank executives for some insider trading. So that's interesting. Now, before I move on though, guys, make sure that you press that like button. It just helps these videos out, and I very much appreciate it. So again, make sure you press that button. Balaji actually came out to state that, many banks are not in a really good situation right now. 722 banks. That's from an internal Fed report on how many banks their rate hikes had destroyed. And we're just getting started. And the craziest part about this is that this is an internal report. And even crazier, it's from April. Ooh. Anyway, I've been keeping you guys up to date with all these major bank difficulties, mostly because crypto is, well, I wouldn't call it boring, as I mean, Bitcoin is up 2.5%, Ethereum has started to move back to $2,000, up 6% today, and XRP is also up 1.7%. So again, it's not boring, but it's just not as exciting as Pepe and coins of that nature. And the thing is, right now, I'd say the most important thing to understand, take a look at, and realize is that our current financial system is wrecked to some degree. Right now in the crypto space, we're looking for the answers, and they're there. I mean, take a look at the fundamentals of things with, for example, news akin to what we see right here. Ripple just got ranked first for being an established leader in CBDCs by Juniper Research. They also say there will be significant transaction growth to $213 billion by 2030. And articles like this kind of showcase two different things. One is that this whole trajectory that we're talking about is pretty vast. It's not a 1 day, 1 year game. You know, we're talking over the next couple of years. And second of all, and maybe even more importantly, we've got ourselves locked in these proper ecosystem cryptos, proper ecosystem projects, whilst again, over in the background, things are absolutely getting destroyed. I mean, the numbers, they look good. I mean, you can even see the Bank of America saying the US dollar global dominance is not under threat. And BRICS, yuan, and crypto are not alternatives, but I'd like to kind of see them back those claims up. I mean, you can honestly kind of see it from the perspective that Bank of America is partnered with crypto companies. I mean, they probably wouldn't do that if it wasn't at least some part of the future. Anyway, little side note of things. I'm, for this video at least, working together with Optics because they've got something pretty interesting going on. So for all of you that do not know, Optics is a decentralized options protocol. And right now, as you can see from the press release right here, they've got themselves a $30,000 prize pool for their trading competition. So in the background, I've been seeing Optics grow for a little while. And like I said at the start, it's pretty interesting because it's a decentralized options protocol, which obviously allows you to trade options on top crypto assets with up to 50x leverage and earn sustainable yield selling options directly from your wallet. So obviously this takes away a lot of the quote-unquote risks of using a middleman, and it's obviously a gap that needed some filling. You can also see right here over at the bottom that it's got some proper investors, guys like Arlington Capital, for example, and some centralized exchanges like Huoba and Femex. And if you're not familiar, by the way, the options market is just absolutely massive. Even in the US, I believe it's over $500 billion of volume a month or so. And these guys decided to fill that gap for crypto assets as it's probably the next big thing to grow. I mean, we covered those option expiry numbers every now and then, but it's still relatively small to where it's headed. And one of the things that makes Optics specifically so different, I guess, than the rest is the different amount of options that they've got in terms of pairs to trade. As usually options, again, as we cover in those videos, only have Bitcoin or potentially Bitcoin and ETH, but these guys have got a pretty wide array, even including XRP. As you can hopefully see from over on the right here, it's also, pretty simple to put calls and puts in. It's just, they made it as simple as possible to get this going. And like we said, everything is fully collateralized on chain. And you can also get some cool yield if you're selling options, as well, the option buyers, they pay a premium to buy the options, and the seller obviously can then kind of pocket that premium. It's a very nice system. Option sellers can provide liquidity to, for example, vaults that can automatically then sell the options, which could be some very interesting yield opportunity. Like I said at the start, though, right now they're going for a $30,000 trading competition. It says right here, LPs, liquidity providers, will share in $15,000 USDC, and traders will compete for another $15,000. The competition will run from May 8th to June 12th. And for the liquidity provider money, so the $15,000, it will basically be proportional over everybody that's providing to the vault in the time period. And for the trading part, all you need to do is make sure you trade at least 100 USDC worth, and then you'll show up in the leaderboards and just be able to see your rankings. Now, for all this stuff, I will leave a link down below, because if you want to join the competition, again, check the link down below for optics. Little side note, they're also launching a token in a couple of months from now, I believe in the third quarter of this year. Token will be for governance over the platform, like with a lot of, DEXs, to give a little bit of an example. But also, like with centralized exchanges, it might reduce your fee for actually trading actively. And that's honestly the main reason why I'm covering it in this video. I kind of didn't want to say because I'm not certain, but it's been hinted that people that utilize the platform early, like I've been talking about in these airdrop videos recently, might get themselves a part in this token. And if you have the token, obviously it's a platform that's quote unquote underused. Again, realize it for a second. It's a very big market with, as of this point, relatively small crypto coverage. But if there's a potential, I'm just thinking with you guys here, if there's a potential for an airdrop and everybody's screaming that it's going to happen for people that are early adopters and they've launched a trading competition, it's worth it to try it out, in my opinion. Again, always do your own due diligence, but I'm thinking if the token allows you to get some profits from the platform that it generates and governance, but the governance ain't that important. It just allows you to be involved, and it's just as I said, guys, check a link. Not sure exactly what happened right there. I want to say check the link down below because, again, pretty massive competition and might also get a cool airdrop for just participating with it. So that's mostly why I'm covering it here. Anyway, putting that on the side, there was a lot of speculation for a new XRP relisting onto Coinbase because Ripple and Coinbase met up a little while ago. But you have to understand that most likely what is happening right now is Coinbase and Ripple, like I said in my previous video, joining forces against the SEC. The enemy of your enemy is your friend, and it wouldn't really make sense if Coinbase right now relisted XRP, even though Ripple themselves are not including XRP in their liquidity hub, which is one of their new solutions and new ideas. So it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it does make a lot of sense for them to partner up right now and fight against the SEC, as Coinbase is trying to get information from them. And so Ripple joining in on that could be an extremely juicy endeavor for both sides. So it obviously makes sense, as again, you have to understand that Coinbase also joined Ripple in their lawsuit. Albeit late, but they did join. Side note, I always find this stuff funny. Kwon's extradition to South Korea is more probable than the US. So yeah, just know that indeed he got arrested a while ago. Hopefully you guys remember that. And the process is still ongoing. It's not as if he's running free or anything like that, even though some people might think so because, well, the news is quite lackluster, you might say. He's definitely still in a bad position, I kind of hope. I mean, I'm not so sure how good Montenegro is. I'm assuming his prison hopefully is not that nice, but Montenegro does look like a pretty beautiful country. But I guess those two things are not one-to-one. I've even heard from the people that they're hoping for a 40-year sentence. If obviously he'll go back to South Korea. I think if he goes to the US, it probably won't be that deep. I know they take fraud very seriously, but I'm thinking the way he did shame on South Korea is going to weigh in heavier than over in the US, where he's just one of the crypto fraudsters. They've already made an example out of a couple other guys. I think they're mostly going to be burning Mr. FTX rather than the failed project Luna. I just think his sentence will be a lot less than if he went over to Korea. But I definitely might be wrong on that. I'm not a sentence master in that sense. Also from the perspective that the US bases a lot of its stuff on proper evidence that the US can gather, and obviously a lot of info the US can't gather, and South Korea could probably do it better. But Montenegro is basically saying, hey, we're ready to send him to wherever he needs to go, but right now the US and Korea, I believe, are kind of figuring out exactly where he should be going. And yeah, it's probably not going to be a good time for him. Like I said, and I want to kind of bring it back to the start of this video, the U.S. banking crisis is on the brink, all right? And that's one of the main reasons we're going so heavily for crypto. The only thing is, and I keep telling you, I still think these regulators are pushing crypto back right now. I personally believe they just don't want this adoption to happen just quite yet for some reason. And it does make sense. I mean, like I just said, Bank of America, they're saying, no, the dollar is fine. JP Morgan and a couple of others, no, the banking system is fine. Even Fed Chair Jerome Powell saying the banking system is fine because they've got something to lose if it wasn't. However, here you can read, the U.S. banking crisis looms as credit tightening mentions reach record highs on company calls. But also read this, former SEC enforcement chief, Coinbase's argument is a possible surefire loser and possibly even criminal. According to John Reed Stark, crypto exchange Coinbase's assertions that its business activities were endorsed by the U.S. SEC when it approved its initial public offering IPO are a surefire loser. According to Stark, the SEC's approval of Coinbase's registration statement was done to ensure the latter had made proper disclosures in their application. And apparently, who would have expected this? The SEC is not constrained by any doctrine. Now, obviously, John Reed is not the man anymore, John Stark. He is the former chief of the U.S. SEC's Office of Internet Enforcement. But he basically said the arguments that Coinbase's business activities were endorsed by the commission when it approved the IPO are a surefire loser. And Stark also said the assertion that Coinbase has some sort of regulatory safe harbor and that the SEC is constrained by some sort of doctrine has no basis in law or in fact. Stark basically said this after Coinbase decided to open up to the public about their Wells notice that it received from SEC a couple months ago. It's funny. The Mr. Stark basically says, "What a crock." Okay, and possibly a criminal offense. Yes, you read that correctly. A criminal offense. Having served as the chief of the SEC Office for Internet Enforcement for 11 years, in my honest opinion. So he's calling him out. And by the way, not a small message of sorts, by the way. I decided to look at the article, not the tweet, because it is ridiculously long. And he says, "Don't shoot the messenger here. I just seek the truth," which is peculiar. And it's really funny how delusional this guy is. Again, allegedly or something, just to make sure he doesn't come after me, because again, he likes to sue people, I guess. "It's frustrating, John," somebody responds to this. "Crypto businesses are begging to discuss all the things you mentioned, but the SEC seems to enjoy unclarity instead of sitting at the table and find solutions. That's what adults do when they're paid for a job." And he tags a couple of different times where, Ripple and Coinbase and others like Kraken and Library were basically saying, "Hey, SEC, let's sit down and discuss this because no one of us understand." And of course, John comes in to state an interesting response. It's freaking long, but hey, let's do the start of it only. "Thanks, I can appreciate your frustration, but respectfully regarding crypto, never in its history has the SEC taken such a drastic measures to make its views known." All right. "Along these lines, the SEC has used multiple distribution channels to share its message and concerns regarding crypto, digital trading platforms, ICOs, and other digital assets, products, and services." Yeah, I don't even want to go inside of this. Hey, pause. He's even quoting Gensler and the fact that they say the laws are clear. Oh, delusional. I'm even surprised that not more people have picked up on this. The fact that Mr. John Reed Stark was saying this. I guess maybe because he does not matter anymore. It's like a random lawyer agreeing with the SEC. Boo-hoo, especially coming from the fact that he used to be at the SEC. Apparently, however, he's still up for the job in the sense of that he's just going. Did he get fired at the SEC? What did he do exactly? Why is he still going so heavy on all this? He's very bearish on Coinbase, it seems, even though Coinbase's quarterly numbers were pretty awesome. Coinbase is facing an existential crisis or risk, basically. "My take is that the SEC will likely charge Coinbase and perhaps even their CEO in the least with failing to register as an exchange, failing to register as a dealer, and failing to register as a clearing firm. To which I can say, well, again, even though he did describe it in his original message, why did you let them IPO then? If everything that they were doing was wrong, why did you let them operate for so ridiculously long? Because it's not as if Coinbase is a new company. No, Coinbase has proper investors, and they looked for guidance multiple different times. They've gone to Washington. They've gone to all these different places to kind of look for you and see exactly what has to be done. But again, we're not talking about a company that you or I, watching, started today. It's not a little small company here. We're talking one of the most popular crypto exchanges that's done millions of dollars worth of lobbying that's been around for so ridiculously many years, that's done a public offering in the US with quote unquote approval from the SEC. What are we talking about here? How can you charge them for all these things? Staking is one thing. Saying they didn't have any proper license, that's a difficult one. Anyway, that's why I don't take these guys too serious and why I keep thinking, maybe, just maybe, there's just something going on here which we do not yet understand. I keep telling you, it's so ridiculously odd, all these different things, that maybe, just maybe, there's something which we're not seeing. Maybe we're missing something. And if I am, please do let me know in the comment section down below, because what is this?